I'm Kenny.
I'm Debbie.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Lamar.
I'm Nikki.
And I'm Caleb.
Hello, my name is Lindsey, and today I'd like to ask you a few questions. What would you do if an officer knocked on your door and told you were under arrest? If they told you that they had evidence proving you had committed a horrific crime, could you ever prove otherwise? If you were convicted of this crime, how would you ever regain your freedom? In a study done by Samuel Gross, a law professor at the University of Michigan, it showed that 4.1% of the people incarcerated for murder are later to be found innocent. Now that doesn't seem like a large percentage until you really start to think about it. 1 in 25 people will be stripped of their rights, placed in a cell, and await death for something they never did. This type of injustice is what started the Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was started by 2 law students in 1992. Their names were Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld. They went to the Cardozo School of Law. Their mission statement is to free the staggering number of innocent people who remain incarcerated and to bring reform to the system responsible for their unjust imprisonment. The most famous case that the Innocence Project has worked on is that of the Stephen Avery case. Avery's case became famous with the release of the Netflix series Making a Murderer in 2015. Avery served 18 years in prison for the attempted rape and beating of a woman in his local area. After those 18 years, he was later exonerated with the use of DNA evidence and a confession that had been brought forward almost 10 years after it had been stated. His freedom wouldn't last long though. 2 years after his freedom was given back to him, Avery was arrested again for the death of Teresa Halbach. This is where the Innocence Project stepped in. Avery was convicted and currently is sitting in prison, but Kathleen Zellner, a Chicago attorney, and Teresa Bushnell, a legal director of the Midwest Innocence Project, are working to overturn that conviction. They're hoping with the use of scientific evidence that they will be able to free Stephen Avery. The Avery case seems like something out of a novel. You wouldn't think that it would ever happen here in Tulsa, but the truth is, it has. Lori Fulbright, a local news anchor, has recently been following the case of DeMarco Carpenter and Malcolm Scott. Carpenter and Scott have both served 21 years in prison for the death of a local man here in Tulsa. The Innocence Project has been working for 5 years on their case. They've retested the evidence and have used a new confession to free both men. To the surprise of all parties involved, the man that recently confessed to the crime was the man that was actually found with the murder weapon at the time. Carpenter and Scott are both free and plan to enjoy their freedom. The Innocence Project loves to hear stories about how they've been able to help many people throughout the United States, but they want to go one step further. They want to make sure that those people are never put in prison for the wrongful reason to begin with. They focus on reforming laws and or building new laws to help this. Some things that they focus on are eyewitness misidentification, which I'd like to point out to you was used in both the Avery case and the Carpenter Scott case. They focus on false convictions and government misconduct, and many other things. Most states have been very willing to apply with these new laws that the Innocence Project has worked on. Because 2 law students had a dream, 350 people have been free after a wrongful conviction. At the very beginning, I asked you a set of questions, but because of the Innocence Project, hopefully you will never have to answer them.